Good morning, good evening, wherever you are across this nation or around the globe. This is Deja Brew, waking you up to truth. Today, Missy and I are going to discuss the case of Emmanuel Haro. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have already heard about this 7-month-old baby who was originally claimed to have been abducted and now is deemed to be deceased. Viewer discretion is advised for this episode. The tragic end of Emmanuel Haro, demanding answers for this beautiful little baby. Strangers continue to hold vigils Friday near the Cabazon home of baby Emmanuel Haro, demanding answers even after San Bernardino County Sheriff's investigators arrested his parents on suspicion of murder. The arrests marked a grim end of a week-long search for Haro that generated national attention and sparked much online slothing. Authorities said they now believe Emmanuel is dead and are still searching for his body. Here's a rundown of the events of the last 8 days. First, we had a claim of an abduction. Then questions emerged because Rebecca Haro initially reported her baby missing and gave statements to investigators that she later contradicted, as the authorities have stated. When she was confronted about those inconsistencies, sheriff's officials say that she stopped speaking with the investigators. Days after he was reported missing, investigators and police dogs searched the family home in Cabazon, a community that is northwest of Palm Springs, California. The sheriff's department says it served multiple search warrants at the home and reviewed surveillance footage from areas of interest and analyzed the couple's electronic devices that were seized as part of this investigation. Earlier this week, an attorney for the boy's father, Jake Haro, insisted that the family was still cooperating with investigators, and Rebecca Haro had refused to take a polygraph only when it was requested by law enforcement. Authorities say that she gave contradictory statements, but Vincent Hughes, who is representing Jake Haro in a separate criminal case, said she was overcome with emotion because of her missing son. The couple surrendered their phones to the investigators and allowed detectives to search their Cabazon home, Hughes said. Investigators also took 2 iPads, including one that had not been taken out of the box, and 3 Xbox video game consoles. Their vehicle was also taken by investigators as part of the search for their son, according to Hughes. There was also a child removed from the home that is a 2-year-old child that was in their custody. It's unclear what prompted the officials to remove the child, but a spokesperson for Riverside County has declined to comment, citing state confidentiality laws. Then we have the arrest. The Haros were arrested at their Cabazon home Friday. Authorities said that they faked the story about a mysterious attacker who had abducted their son. It is believed Emmanuel is deceased and the search to recover his remains is ongoing, is a quote from the sheriff's department in a recent statement they've made. They also said, quote, while these arrests mark a significant development, our focus remains on finding Emmanuel, close quote. San Bernardino County Sheriff Shannon Dicus thanked law enforcement and prosecutors from Riverside and San Bernardino counties for their role in the investigation and arrests. He also thanked the public and the media for their assistance. That we all these people online who have been chiming in, we are all using our spidey senses, our intuition, our gut instinct to immediately say what we feel is actually the truth about what has happened to this child. So I want you to trust that, go with that, and use it to the fullest extent to help us as we unravel this mystery.
All right. So I'm going to read a little bit more about this case. It's in Moreno Valley, California. It says the search continues for 7-month-old Emmanuel Haro, who has been missing for over a week. Now it appears his parents are tied to another abuse investigation. His parents, Rebecca and Jake Haro, were arrested on suspicion of murder on Friday at their home in Cabazon. The couple had claimed that the baby was kidnapped in Yucapia on Thursday, August the 14th, and the detectives say that story quickly fell apart. Rebecca said she was attacked and knocked unconscious in a parking lot near a Big Five store in Yucapia. When she regained consciousness, she told investigators that her baby was gone and that he had been kidnapped. After Emmanuel's disappearance, the boy's parents came under scrutiny and the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department said that investigations found inconsistencies in the mother's story. The search for baby Emmanuel is ongoing, but the child is presumed dead. Investigators spent hours combing through the parents' home in Cabazon on Friday. Deputies say the Haros are also at the center of another reports of abuse. Riverside County Sheriff's deputies said they responded to a call of child abuse at a home on the block of Cottonwood on Thursday afternoon. They confirmed the investigation is related to the Haros. Deputies said the investigation into the alleged abuse is ongoing and no further details were released, and the community vigil was held on Friday night for baby Emmanuel. Rebecca and Jake are due in court next week.
So once again, we just want to reiterate, this is a tragic story, and we are going to stay on this until we help the sheriff's department to find this child's body. We do, and I will also reiterate that we do have contact information to reach out to the sheriff's department directly to give them any and all information that we have that could help them to bring this case to a close, bring Emmanuel's death to the justice that it deserves, and punish all peoples involved, whomever they may be. Good morning, good evening, wherever you are across this nation or around the globe. This is Deja Brew, waking you up to truth. Today, Missy and I are going to discuss the case of Emmanuel Haro. Now, I'm sure a lot of you have already heard about this 7-month-old baby who was originally claimed to have been abducted and now is deemed to be deceased. Melissa and I have been watching this since its onset and immediately used our psychic intuition to ping and guide us through what we thought would be things that the police discover. So I would like to go through that list a little bit with you, and then we're going to cut to a clip with Elizabeth Vargas and the latest news on the parents of Emmanuel Haro. So first and foremost, we immediately both felt that the baby is already deceased, that he was not kidnapped, and that he was probably, in fact, unalived in the month of July between the 3rd and the 4th week. Everyone can tell that the parents are lying. And this new private investigation team that I'm putting together of psychics, we're not only going to dive into the real truth of mysteries and missing people, we're going to show you how you are already using your intuition, your God-given psychic ability to read energy and really have that knowing of the truth. Just as everyone who has known about this from its onset all have a majority opinion that they were lying and that this baby is probably not even alive. Okay? So that is going to be one of the key things that we do in our new Private Eye series that we're going to be releasing the 1st of September. We also feel like like I said, the baby was deceased weeks before the claim of abduction happened. Melissa also had an intuitive hit that likely the child was dismembered. We both got an intuitive hit on a dumpster, which later findings showed that the police did actually go to a different location, to a dumpster, and collect things that were found to be the baby's clothes and photographs. Also, an intuitive hit that we had was that the baby's demise actually happened by the hand of the father in a fit of rage, probably even while he was beating on Rebecca, his wife, who was holding the child, possibly holding the child when this happened. That's how she got her black eyes, because she actually was reported with 2 black eyes to begin with the week prior to claiming that the child was missing at a uncle's funeral, which, by the way, was done on family property there near them. So we'll get to that in a minute. The facts in the case here are that the clothes and the pictures were found in the dumpster. That it's clear now that they staked out the area of the Big Five and knew that there was no surveillance cameras in that area. However, unfortunately for them, and fortunately for all of us and baby Emmanuel, there were cameras in other stores and restaurants in the area that did in fact see that she was lying. Cadaver dogs were brought into the home and found substantial amounts of blood. The police have now collected parts of the flooring and the carpet as evidence and investigation. And also, when the uncle passed away, the week prior was his funeral, and several family members reported that they didn't see the baby with them at the funeral, but she did have black eyes. And again, this funeral was actually conducted, from our understanding, on family property near where they live. The dad himself has had past jail convictions for abusing his then 10-week-old daughter, who is now rendered blind, severely handicapped, and still needs to be fed with a trach. She was adopted by another family member, as well as maybe a second child. Seems like maybe she adopted 2 of their kids, his kids.
I think so.
She was like his cousin or something. Also, the grandmother claims that the baby was not vaccinated, and that's why he was kept in the car during the football game. However, Melissa and our intuitive hit on that is that they had never had the baby vaccinated because he was being abused the entire 7 months of his life. And if you take a child to the doctor to get vaccinated, they're going to see the abuse. And they didn't want to be reported. So to avoid that, they just never got the baby vaccinated. They also had a 2-year-old child removed from the home. And there is an update on that we will cover here shortly. And then right, there was also a claim by the grandmother that he was left in the hot car, which gave reason for a lot of people to jump to conclusions that perhaps the baby passed away in the car during the football game from the heat. But again, Melissa and I both feel like
He was already gone.
He was already gone. Weeks before that, he was already gone. Okay. So yeah, now we're gonna. Do you have anything you want to add to that right now?
Sums it up.
Okay, so we're gonna cut to the clip from Melissa Vargas. Melissa Vargas. Oh my God. From Miss Vargas on News Nation.
We begin tonight with a grim update out of Southern California. Police thought something didn't add up, and now the parents of a missing 7-month-old baby are under arrest, facing charges of murder. Good evening, everyone. I'm Elizabeth Vargas. Police continue to search for the body of 9-month-old Emmanuel Harrow tonight. Sources tell News Nation that police...
And I just want to say, she misspoke right there. He's actually 7 months old. It says right on the screen.
Believe the father killed the baby, and they say it happened inside the home. Sources tell us a substantial amount of blood was found on the carpet inside. The baby's mother, Rebecca, first reported Emmanuel missing 8 days ago on August 14th. She said that around 7 p.m. she was changing his diaper outside her truck in a retail parking lot when a man came up behind her, attacked her, and knocked her out. When she woke up, she said, Emmanuel was gone.
I woke up right here on the floor, and I didn't see Emmanuel. If you know anything, please come and bring my son back. Please, I'm begging you. If anyone knows anything.
Police reportedly found inconsistencies in Rebecca Harrow's story almost immediately and confronted her about it. From there, everything went south. Police said Rebecca stopped talking. Investigators searched the parents' home, took their car, and issued warrants for all their phones and electronic devices. Child Protective Services took custody of their 2-year-old child. And Jacob Harrow's criminal history quickly came to light. He was convicted of child cruelty, a felony over serious injuries to a 10-week-old baby girl back in 2018. In fact...
Now, I'm just going to interrupt her again there to let you know exactly what those injuries were to this child, or a rough rundown rather. And this is not for the faint of heart. So, parental guidance is advised. But the child had blood on the brain, water on the brain,
Broken ribs.
Neck. Its neck was crushed or something, like the trachea, which is why she has a trach in her throat now, because they couldn't repair that. A broken leg. Were both of her arms broke? I can't remember exactly now.
I don't remember about that one.
She was 10 weeks old, guys. 10 weeks old. And she was really, really, really broken. I don't know how you let a monster like that ever walk the streets again, let alone be able to have more children. I just don't get it. Our judicial system has really failed in this sense, drastically failed, and CBS for that matter.
A journalist told our own Ashley Banfield last night that the baby girl was hurt so badly she can no longer see, talk, or walk to this day. Let's bring in our panel of experts now. Kim DeGonia is the former assistant district attorney for Riverside County, California. Bobby Chacon is a former FBI special agent, and Lauren Matthias is a journalist and hosted the Hidden True Crime podcast. Great to have all three of you here. Kim, I'd like to start with you. They've not yet found the baby's body, but they have already charged the parents with murder. How much evidence do you need before you can file charges like this?
Hi, Elizabeth. Thanks for having me. In a case like this, the standard is probable cause in order to have both parents arrested for the charges of murder. So it sounds like from what your investigation has uncovered that there seems to be quite enough evidence to charge both with murder.
Bobby, parents are both in custody tonight. They will...
And an interesting thing about that is that one of the details, both parents shut off their cell phones that has the numbers on those flyers that they pinned up everywhere. If you know where our baby is or you have any tips, call these numbers. They had those phones disconnected, probably so they could wipe them clean, right? Factory reset, hope that they made it all go away so that nobody knows anything, because they already knew that nobody believed their fake ass crying on TV, their pleads.
Yeah, there's some bad actors.
Very much so.
Obviously, they're being held separately. They'll probably try and get one of them to flip and confess, likely the mother, correct?
Exactly, Elizabeth. I mean, we've been down this road before. You pick out which one you think you'll have the most success putting pressure on, and that in this case, because of his prior history, I think it would be the mother, and she's obviously,
the father's the one with the prior history.
Right, and the mother would be the one that you would put the pressure on, but it's her child as well. So I think that that's exactly what the strategy at this point is going to be. Really go at both of them hard and see if you can get some cooperation.
Lauren, sources tell News Nation not.
And I want to know from all of you, I want you to put it in the comments. Do you think the mom is complicit? Or do you think that she was an innocent bystander? Use your own instincts and tune in on this. This is a great exercise for you to help figure out what happened to baby Emmanuel. And also at the same time, to show you some validation that you do have these abilities. Was she a victim? Is she scared to come forward because he threatened her? Or is she complicit?
Not only that there was a lot of blood inside the home, but that all the photos of Emmanuel had been removed from the house. All the baby's clothing had been thrown away. How long do we think this baby might have been dead?
I think that we are suspecting actually quite a long time. According to the true crime podcasting community, they have been speculating when the last time Emmanuel was seen. We're hearing various dates, some even saying as early as August 3rd, but there's no sighting that we have known of the day of this. Now we don't even have to say alleged kidnapping. Well, I guess alleged kidnapping still, but
alleged murder in this case.
Alleged murder now, right? Exactly. Thank you, Elizabeth. And we are seeing this sort of pattern of it's been quite some time since baby Emmanuel has been seen. So who knows when this alleged murder now actually even happened.
Bobby, what do police do? You have a lot of experience in this.
So we also know that the child had not been seen for at least a month. Family members are coming forward now and saying that the child has not been seen with them for at least a month. And then there's also the reports of them going to the hardware store in another town
And getting the Sawzall, wanting to purchase a Sawzall, but they couldn't purchase it because they didn't have one. And earlier when we were watching this, I had this intuition that was already done. Like the baby was dismembered, which is terrible.
So then to learn that they were actually out looking to purchase the Sawzall really made it feel horrible for us. And then you go back to the police making the statement that they found a large amount of blood. This is horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. I don't know how any single person could do such a heinous thing, but especially to their own child.
How do they, and we're seeing video right here, this is of Rebecca Harrow being taken into custody, handcuffed. She's been officially charged with murder already. What do police do in this case? They still haven't found the body of this baby.
Yeah, and sound like that's the next biggest step. That's where all the resources are going to go into. And now what you're doing is you're looking at cell phone data. You're looking at if you can track their cars or their cell phones in the last few weeks, like we just heard. We don't know how long the baby's been missing. We don't know when the last time the baby's been found. They probably have an idea from talking to friends, neighbors, and relatives on who last saw the baby other than these two parents. And then so they can work from that kind of rough date. And then look at if you can somehow pinpoint the parents' movements, either through their cell phones, through the mileage on their cars, where they got gas, and things like that. I live not far from this area. I live about 20 minutes away, and there's a lot of rough terrain in this area. It's also very hot this time of year. It's 115 degrees at my house today. You'd have to just start looking in a lot of different places, and you have to be ready to go forward.
And I just want you to look at that child's face. You can tell that he was already being abused when this photo was taken. He was already messed up because this photo doesn't look like the other ones. His face has drastically changed. There's a distance in his eyes. Read the energy and help us to figure out where his body is so that his little soul can be laid to true rest.
You don't find the body, because there is that chance.
Kim, the baby's father, as we said, has a criminal record of felony child abuse. He's convicted of willful child cruelty in 2023 for abusing his 10-week-old daughter. The abuse happened in 2018. She suffered incredibly serious wounds, this tiny baby: fractured ribs, a fractured skull, a swollen brain, a fractured leg. His lawyer said, quote, "One crime doesn't mean you've committed every other crime, especially to take your own child." But I've got to ask, why wasn't this man in prison for being found guilty for crimes this serious on a 10-week-old baby?
Well, that's the great question here, Elizabeth. He absolutely should have. The charges are horrifically undercharged from his 2021 offenses with his 10-week-old baby. That charge in and of itself should have been charged as an assault under age 8 years old with permanent paralysis, which is a prison term of life. He should have never been out of custody. But more disturbing is, while he was out of custody, he received only probation for injuring that 10-week-old baby. And he's been back to Riverside Court 5 separate times on a probation violation, where he had a 6-year prison stint hanging over his head if he violated probation at all from that 2023 guilty plea of what he had done to his 10-week-old daughter. So the fact that he was out of custody to murder Emmanuel is quite offensive. He should have never been out of custody since 2021.
Well, not only was he not in prison, but he went on to father 2 more children, one of whom now police believe he murdered. Bobby, we know also that authorities very quickly took the couple's other child, a 2-year-old. They took that 2-year-old out of the house and placed him in Child Protective Services. The 2-year-old is, I think, too young to be a witness to anything, or is he?
He probably is too young. I mean, they'll have specialists. They have really good specialists that deal with children in these situations. I certainly am not one of them. I would bring in specialists like that to talk to these children. But 2 years old does seem to me to be a little too young to have anything of value, in the case.
There's also the question, though, Bobby, they were at a football game for one of Jacob Harrow's older children. I don't even know how many children in total he had. But that child, if that child was old enough to play football, is old enough to be a witness if he saw anything.
That's right. If he saw anything or if he heard anything, even after the fact, he may have heard something or saw something apart from the actual murder, saw something else that could be of value to investigators. So, I'm sure that they're having, again, those special people that are, well-versed and trained in interviewing children of that age. And I'm sure that child, that a 7-year-old certainly could have seen something or heard something of value, separate and apart from the actual act of violence that could be of value to the investigators.
Lauren, let's talk a little.
And also I want to add to that, because we've also learned now since all this happened, that the mother of the 7-year-old child the football game that they were allegedly at when the abduction took place. His mother has now filed restraining orders against the both of them prior to them getting arrested for murder. She had already filed restraining orders against them. So clearly she knew something or had some reason to be afraid for her child, because she filed the restraining order for her child, for his sake, to keep him away from them, keep them away from him. So that's very telling too. I feel like the child does know something, has seen something, or has experienced his own levels of abuse from this dad, and she didn't feel like she had leverage until this moment to keep him away from her child.
Maybe I think she feared for her life if she did that, and now she's hoping that he's going to be sent away and to keep her child safe. I think she was scared to do it before because I think she knew all along. Yeah, she knew all along.
She knew all along that he was abusing children,
Mm-hmm.
probably her own
And she
children
was
as
scared
well.
to death.
And yeah, because the 10-week-old child that's now never going to be the same because of the abuse that he did on her. Her mother, I don't know if that's the boy's mother or not, but that child's mother was also that she also pled guilty to the abuse of the 10-week-old child, and immediately Missy and I both felt like he threatened her to do that. He forced her to also take blame for it. Otherwise, he would do something to her. And I know that sounds sketchy to some people, but I also know from my own personal experiences that you can have a spouse to be that scary and that manipulative to you. That stuff does happen.
A little bit about how much Rebecca Harrow's story began to fall apart and how quickly it fell apart. She told police that, and the media, she went on TV 2 days after this kidnapping they said happened. She went on television and said, oh, this black eye that I have here, this big bruise, I got that because the attacker knocked me out. Well, it turns out videos emerged of her with that black eye for days, maybe even weeks before the Thursday she said the baby disappeared. In addition, nobody at that football game, nobody at that big box store or that parking lot where she said the baby was kidnapped, nobody else that day saw baby Emmanuel.
Absolutely. Her story started falling apart immediately. And law enforcement now state that they saw that, as well as the public. Again, the black eye that you mentioned, she had it earlier. Again, not being able, she says herself that she couldn't see this assailant. Well, guess what? She's not the only one. And it wasn't, necessarily because she was knocked out unconscious, because no surveillance that we know of has ever seen anyone that was stating hola and taking a baby or attacking anyone in this parking lot. Everything she has.
Okay, we're going to cut that off right there. She did say that as of about an hour prior to this airing, which was today, Jake, the dad, was charged with murder with malice. Not both of them, Jake. So intuitively, I feel like they pulled mom aside and they got her to talk.
And mom talked. Yeah, mom talked.
Because another strange fact that had went down was that Jake had lawyered up, but the mom, Rebecca, was the one that the cops were looking at and wondering why her story didn't match up. And then all of a sudden, he's the one that goes to get a lawyer, but not one for her. That just screamed guilt to me.
Yeah, I don't.
And yes, that's
weird.
Intuition. That is
weird.
That is intuition, for you to have that scream that this is guilt, right? And I want you to go along with us and follow along as we go through these case studies. And then tell us in the comments, work with us, share your intuitive hits, because things like this do naturally just come to all of us. And that is part of the point of doing these shows.
Yeah, speak up and just give us your gut intuition, because you'll never know if you don't say it. And then when it comes to lie, you'll be like, oh, I was right about that. So I'm guilty of that. I used to think it and not say it and be like, I was thinking that when it happened. And but there's no proof that I was thinking that when it happened because I didn't say it out loud. So speak up.
Yeah, definitely speak up, put it in the comments, follow along with us as we do each and every episode in this series of private investigation, and use your private eye.
Media was showing up, bystanders were showing up, and that's when they started doing the search of the property. They blocked off the streets, put the crime scene tape up. To your point, they started looking all around the scene. They were dumping out garbage bins, going through the trash, searching that shed that was also adjacent to the property. And it's my understanding they also had been removing some floorboards from inside the house that potentially had blood on them.
Oh, that's just terrible, Annie. I'm looking at the video here. We can see they had the SWAT team out there, and there he is being taken.
Okay, I'm going to let this play out for a moment as I also add that as of, 2 days ago, the neighbor's house is caught on fire.
Mm-hmm.
So across the street from where they live, 2 houses and an RV were caught on fire by 2 homeless people, 2 vagabonds. And immediately we had the intuition to say that Jake probably hired these 2 homeless people to come burn down the house to cover up any type of smell or evidence that may be left in the home, and that the homeless people actually burned down the wrong house.
Yeah, they did the wrong address.
And, if they're homeless people that are strung out on drugs or something, they're not necessarily going to get it right and be the best arsonists, I guess you would say. They're not going to be thinking clearly enough to pull this off successfully. And yeah, they weren't at home. Rebecca and her husband, Jake, were not at home when those fires broke out across the street from their house, at the one house that originally caught on fire, and then the next house and the RV all caught on fire. And obviously those fires were to destroy evidence and the smell in case they brought the cadaver dogs out, because this was right before the cadaver dogs were brought out to the area, if I remember right.
I think so. Because it had just broke the story. I mean, they were just
it was all new.
Yeah,
we were just hearing about it. There was something else I felt like we forgot to mention too that we learned about. So let me think about that a minute.
The other baby, the other child. Did we touch base on that?
The 2-year-old that was taken out of the house?
No, the one who another SA case
that is the 2-year-old that was taken out of the house. That's what it was. Because you go ahead.
Well, I just wanted to make sure that it was the 2-year-old and not another child, because apparently he's got a lot of children. So, but it was in another county, an address that they.
It was a different address.
Yeah.
But we don't know where the child was placed when CPS removed it from the home. It could have been taken to a family member's or an immediate foster care home or whatever. But there was a police call, a call to 911 made reporting an abuse of a child that was connected to the Harrows. And we believe intuitively that is the 2-year-old that was just removed from the home, that the 2-year-old also had been abused, and they discovered this about the child. So this is a really tragic story. And again, I want you to stay with us and follow along and put in the comments any of your intuitive hits, your spidey senses. What are they telling you about this case? We have the means to connect directly with the sheriff's department in California that is working on this case. And we are turning over all of our evidence that we find to them to help them to find Emmanuel's body and give him a proper burial, proper rest. So please help us to do that in any way that you can. Put your comments down below so that we can use all of this to decipher and figure out where he truly is.
And no matter what you think or what you feel, put it down. Nothing is too big or too small. It could lead us to the conclusion,
Right.
the final piece. So it's very important.
Yes, that's a good point. Even the smallest detail that might hit you could be something huge that's like the little linchpin that leads the police to the baby's body. So absolutely, don't overlook any little detail and don't second guess the things that come to you. Those spontaneous answers that pop into your head, that's intuition. Go with that and trust it. So again, just in closing, I want to reiterate that we're going to stay on this case and investigate this to the fullest of our extent to help bring baby Emmanuel's body to rest. And we have an upcoming series that's going to be called Beyond the Veil, Private Eyes, where I've put together a panel of 6 psychics, and we will investigate missing persons, mysterious deaths, and events that have taken place either far in the past or in our current history. We will follow the leads where they take us. We will observe the facts, and we will let the spirits of the deceased help us to solve these crimes. If you have a case that remains unsolved, or if you have an interest for us to look into deeper, you can reach us in the email link that will be below in the description box. And until then, we wish you well, and we will see you soon.
Bye.